Hey guys, it's Carissa, and featuring dogs in the way. But as you can tell that I'm outside right now, and I wanted to do a little smoke sesh while I talk to you guys about, I guess, like the gender war, race war, and porn. And just literally things along those topics, because I thought this would be like a nice little video to talk about, because I have some things that I want to share, some perspectives and opinions that I have on these topics that I really think need to be out in the world. And I was already talking to myself about this earlier today as I was like just being and existing, and also like journaling and making my breakfast and everything like that. And so I was like, this is some really good shit, and sometimes I just don't feel like writing it down in my journal. Can you stop with these? Thank you. Stop. Anyways, y'all, but I am going to spark up. This is a joint. You cannot have this. No, you cannot have these either. Get away from me. Good. Okay. Yeah, let's spark up. Stop! Get away! I have fire. The wind out here might not allow me to like this. I don't even know if you guys can see me because the sun is just so vibrant. This joint is also a little bit on the loose side, so hopefully it doesn't like crumble on me. Get away. Dogs are such fucking rats, y'all. But, okay. So, where do I start? I'll start with talking about porn. Okay. So, I am somebody who has watched porn before. Literally, who hasn't? Okay. I am a Gen Z. We grew up with the internet. And it's... For me, I think I definitely have had a problem with watching too much of it. But I'm also somebody who enjoys self-pleasure, obviously. And I think with the conversations that we have around porn and the stigma that we have around porn, while understandably so, porn is definitely something that can harm us, especially the way that we perceive our own bodies and other people's bodies, and the way that we have sex. It's very disconnected from our bodies, and honestly very animalistic in a way where we're not even present with ourselves and maybe even other people that we might be performing the act with. But I also think that with porn, it's just a symptom of a deeper problem, a deeper systemic empirical issue like the patriarchy. And I think like getting rid of things like porn sites or OnlyFans is like, that's just a symptom. And we live in a culture that ignores the main root issues and only focuses on like the symptom and suppressing the symptom. And that's literally within everything, not just like when you go to the fucking doctor, and you go to the doctor with symptoms, and they give you pills and medication to hopefully get rid of your symptoms. But the root issue is still there, and when the root issue is not being addressed, your body is going to continue to communicate with you through symptoms that there's something deeper that is wrong, that is asking for your attention. And I think porn is also one of those things that is like, it's a symptom of a deeper issue, and the problems that it creates within men and even women in our culture and our society is also deeply linked to feelings of not being enough and also core wounds. But with my relationship with, since I've had my issues, my problems with it, I've been open to wanting to change it, and this went out. Oh my god, y'all. I've been open to wanting to change it because, like, the thing is, with not watching porn, it's not even a lack of masturbation or self-pleasure, but for me, because I've been so disconnected with my body, especially when watching porn, it's more so of a matter of like, okay, I want to connect with my body. I want to pleasure myself, and I want to feel into my body. And if anything, it's a really good way that we can initiate further deepening our relationships and our presence with our body, and really exploring our body and what we like and what we dislike. Because with porn and everything, at least with my experience of just, not really being present in my body and focusing so much on the outcome and finishing, it's like, you do it, you have that urge, that desire, and then you do it, and then it's like, okay, what now? And it's very, at some point in my life, it really just got old, and just the shame and the guilt became more present in my life. And for so many people with other addictions, using porn is just a way that we cope, that we escape, that we numb how we feel, we numb that deeper pain that is beneath the surface. I'm gonna relight this when the wind stops blowing. Maybe this is just myself. I don't know if I'm gonna stay out here long. It's really hot. The sun is like peaking right now. And I have fucking ash everywhere. Ugh. But what was I saying? Look at the dog. Dog, look at it. Look at it. Y'all like my Fiona Apple shirt? The real artist of our generation. As a former Swiftie, sometimes I like shading Taylor Swift, because I'm just like, because like, she knows I'm joking. I mean, not really, not all the time. Anyways, this is not about her. But with porn, I think like conversations like this for me are so deep and so multifaceted, and within the conversation, like the broader collective conversation around porn, from my understanding, from my own of just like seeing it, there is definitely, it's so taboo and so stigmatized, but like so many people watch it, and it's like so many people watch this thing that we also collectively have so much shame about. And also it's very normal to shame people and ourselves for watching it, especially like men who watch it, which understandably so, because like I said in the beginning, porn is definitely something that can create a lot of harm, a lot of disharmony within relationships. This keeps going out. Anyways, and so like I understand, and obviously because of porn and because of the type of culture that we live in a male dominated culture, that is also very like, that perpetuates these ideas towards men and these like expectations to not show your emotions, and to like, this is what a man is and this is what it means to be a man, and really grooming young boys and men into fitting into this archetype, into fitting into this idealized, perfected, under the eyes of capitalism and the patriarchy, to be a certain type of person just because you were born with these genitals, just because you were born in a world that constructs these man-made labels of who it tells you to be. And like, when you display anything outside of that mold, you are shamed, ostracized, judged, and rejected for it. And you're told that you're not enough, or you're being too much, or that this part of you, this emotional part of you, is too feminine to suck it up, that boys don't cry. And men are definitely very oppressed under this patriarchal system. But like I was saying, within like, just with the broader, just also symptoms of the deeper issue, and porn is definitely, I feel like a part of that, is very entangled in it, as rape culture and the brutality and the dehumanization and the over-sexualization of women, and how men who tend to be violent and really just destructive and harmful towards women also watch porn and stuff like that. And so I think like we oftentimes blame porn, and I think there's also a lot of valid reasons within that because of just like it is for the male gaze. I don't even know where I was like going. I was like going somewhere and then I don't even remember. But I was just saying, like, I think obviously while I have my perspective and I think it's so important that we are able to humanize men, but humanizing men doesn't mean that we're coddling them or making excuses. I think it's just creating space in our minds and also opening our hearts to the further truth because of the type of perspective that we have on porn and men watching porn. It's just like, oh, if you're a man that watches porn, you're bad. You're a bad person. And we give men such a hard time. And I think like just because I think that we do give men a hard time does not mean that, oh, I'm like not a feminist. Like, I don't even care about being a feminist. Like, bitch, I'm a humanist. Like, I am a multi-dimensional, multifaceted being. And just because like in the eyes of other people, if me saying what I'm saying about men automatically thinks other people think that like whatever they might think doesn't fucking matter. Like, I'm allowed to have my own opinion, and I'm just like, I value nuance, I value fairness, and being able to hear and recognize all sides of the story, because like within recognizing this, I also recognize how harmful this is and how so many women live in fear every day of their lives, knowing from my own personal experience, fearing what's going to happen to them if they go for a walk, you know, fearing the worst, preparing for the worst, you know, always checking in with their friends and their family, letting them know where they are to be safe. And it's just such a fucking sad world that we live in. And like as women, unfortunately, we have to bear, and a lot of marginalized people in communities, women, men, queer men, trans women, all these people who are in these communities that are often attacked and dehumanized and viewed as, you know, just scapegoated to redirect our attention on the bigger issue, which is the empires that we live under, the governments and institutions that govern us and condition us to believe these things in the first place, to continue to look at people around us as other and to view them as below us on this man-made hierarchical system, and be so disconnected from each other and ourselves and nature, and just not view each other as just like souls, and we view each other as just the identities that we're told to fear and we're told to think less of, because it doesn't fit under this, like, the status quo. Basically, it doesn't fit under what Fox and CNN News is telling you to believe in. Like, it really is that serious. But anyways, but with that being said, I forgot what I was saying about that before. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this to open up the conversation around porn and men watching porn, because it really is a lot deeper. Like, yeah, it's harmful, it's dangerous, but also men are also very much victims of the empires that we live under. And yeah, a lot of men rule these empires, and a lot of men are the reason why the shit the way that it is the way that it is, but they are also holding other men and boys into these expectations and these, oh my god, no, why am I doing that on camera? Anyway, y'all, I'm a little high right now. But these empires, these systems like the patriarchy and white supremacy, these are ego-based systems. These are systems that speak to our ego. These are identities and beliefs and value systems that our ego clings onto for a sense of belonging, a sense of importance, for a sense of survival. And the thing is, like, these systems stem so far back beyond my lifetime, but beyond my grandparents' lifetime. Like, this shit goes back really, really fucking far. Can y'all stop eating? Okay, we're in the house because y'all, it's hot as hell outside. And the dogs are pissing me off because they don't know how to sit the fuck down and stop messing with shit. Like, but y'all are so cute. Like, look at that little face. I know y'all can't see the face, but I can. And it's a great view. Like, just like y'all's view right now. Anyways, child. Honestly, okay, so where did I leave off with my little spiel? Actually, let me go back and watch it. Okay, so I was saying how these systems stem so far back into our lineages, into our culture, into just leading where our society and our culture is today. And if we really want to open ourselves up to healing ourselves and also like the type of culture and the society we live in, we also have to change our approach in how we relate to people and how we treat other people. Like, yes, healing is an individual thing that you do, and it also starts with recognizing and acknowledging that these systems exist, that we have internalized these systems and how these systems affect us, what beliefs and values that we have that are entangled into our being, into our identity because of these systems, and realizing like that is the individual work that we have to do to unlearn these things and to really connect to the truth of who we are, and to allow our truth and our true voice and our intuition and cults and creating our own definitions, because so many of us live our day-to-day lives based on the definitions of what is popular. So many of us hide ourselves and feel so much shame around certain parts of ourselves because we have been shamed, because we have been made fun of, because we saw somebody looking down. Like, if you are somebody who watches porn, for example, and you constantly maybe see things of other people shaming and bashing porn and bashing people who watch porn, saying like, oh, people who watch porn are so lazy and undisciplined, you are going to internalize that. You are going to start to believe that about yourself. And, you know, it's so easy to fall in that trap of shaming yourself into loving yourself, you shaming yourself to change. But what if you change that approach, like doing something that's bad for you, doing something that you know you might not do it for the right reasons, or that is not the healthiest habit, does not make you a bad person. And sometimes we really have a hard time distinguishing that shame and guilt. Like, yeah, doing something that might harm you and might affect your relationship, like, yeah, that is something that is, if that's something that you value, if you value yourself and your relationships and you open yourself up to healing, like, yeah, you can change your behavior, because you can do these harmful things and you can still change. You watching porn, you doing things that are not good for you, does not make you a bad person. Those are just simply actions and behaviors. And a lot of the time, the things that trigger these actions and these behaviors are things that are deeply subconscious. And that's where you dig into your subconscious. That's where you question and you reflect, with trying your best to not judge or shame yourself, and just be curious with love and compassion. And when you are able to change that dynamic, the way that you relate and communicate with yourself, and shifting it from a shame-based relationship to a love and compassion-based relationship, you're also able to do that with other people. You're also able to humanize other people, because we dehumanize these parts of ourselves that we are taught to shame, that we are taught to hate, that we are taught to not fully listen to. Like, these parts of us that do these things are so much deeper than just being lazy, than being unconcerned, than being a piece of shit. Like, there's actually like a voice behind that. And sometimes our actions and our behaviors are just like a symptom of that, is just a product of that, but it's so much deeper than that. And sometimes other people, because they don't know themselves deeply, they are not able to kind of perpetuate this depth to you. People who shame themselves in the changing are going to also promote that type of relationship with yourself too. And so be careful with this. That was good though. I like that. Okay. Because there's always something deeper going on beneath the surface, and ego speaks to ego. And I think as women, or especially for me, I don't want a partner that watches porn. And I'm somebody who like mostly listens to autoerotica. Like, that was my switch over. Because honestly, when I watch porn now, I don't like it. It makes me really uncomfortable. it makes me feel the way that I did when I was a kid and I would watch it, and I wouldn't even watch it like religiously. Like it was just some, like, I feel like, at least for me, I just had that moment where I just stumbled upon it because I was exposed to sex at a really young age, unfortunately. And so it's just like something that I've always been aware of. But I didn't, until I was like 17, 18 is really when I started to like touch myself more and to experiment sexually. Like, and plus, like, I've have my experiences with sexual assault. Like, it wasn't even really assault, it was more like molestation. But anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. But like, I have my experiences with sexual trauma, which I also think plays a huge part in just like the sexualization of myself. But also, like, I just have like a high libido. Like, girl, you know, like, if you're horny as fuck, it's probably because you have a lot of creative energy. Like, that sacral energy, it all happens in the same place. Like, sexual energy is sacral creative energy. And so also just taking it upon myself to create more and to indulge in my fantasies, to indulge and to entertain the things that like turn me on, that make me excited, and just allowing myself to feel that lust for life, not just necessarily lust for another person to like have sex with, like just a lust and a worshiping for myself, and also saying yes to myself and opening myself up to myself, opening my heart up to myself, and just really deepening my roots within my connection to my body and the connection to my soul. And I feel like it's just, yeah. But within changing our approach to how we view these types of topics and conversations, because it's so taboo, because it's so stigmatized, and you know, it's like, if you're not ashamed of watching porn, but it's also like there's the shame around watching porn, but it's also like, babe, like when I grew up going to the beach, okay? On the ocean front, they'd always have these hella sexualized shirts. It's not like sexualization and porn and stuff along these lines is like, it's like stigmatized where it's like, we don't really, I don't know. Like, for me, I have felt a lot of shame about it. So this is just my experience that like, I have felt shame about it. I'm surprised that today I really just felt this need to talk about it and to possibly share this video. I don't know who needs to hear this, but like, I don't know, today I just kind of, I guess, woke up and just decided to be fucking fearless. Like, I feel a little bit fearless today. But yeah, there's that shame that we're going to be judged for enjoying things like these, for doing things like these. And it's just like, I think also shame around our own sexuality, our own sensuality, and our own pleasures and desires as well. I can really only speak to my relationship, but I'm also like viewing it from my perspective of how I perceive men. But also, like, when I reflect, I also really try my best to put myself in other people's shoes. I'm a fair person, okay? I think getting all perspectives is so important because there's so many, because we all have our own internal world and internal universe and experience. And so like, in order to like coexist, I want to also be that person that values and embodies somebody who is fair and who likes to listen to all perspective, is not somebody who immediately closes myself off to what somebody else has to say, but I also hear what other people have to say, and I'm able to distinguish my truth and my energy between theirs and be like, okay, there's space for both of us to exist. And this also happens within, like, there are going to be so many internal voices and internal parts of you that are going to contradict with each other, that are not going to make sense. And learning and being able to be like, okay, all of these parts of me exist within inside of me. There is space for all of these parts, all of these versions of me, all of my truths to coexist, even if they contradict each other. And I accept that. And when we are also able to deepen those roots within ourselves, we can also see that. And accepting doesn't mean that we are settling, or we are settling for a version of ourselves that is not where we want to be, but it really is changing your approach with yourself. And so much of our approaches are with ourselves are trenched in shame. And I really had to learn this as I've been de-shaming myself, is realizing like there are going to be parts of me that contradict each other. There are going to be parts of me that feel uncomfortable. There are parts of me that I've rejected for so long, that I've been so afraid to show and to let see the light of day, to show other people. And that's okay. And I can accept it myself right now, but I'm also open to changing and evolving, because first of all, that's what I feel guided to do. I feel guided to heal, and with healing comes change and transformation. And the thing is, like, change is a part of life. It's inevitable, and we're supposed to change. And when you connect deeper with yourself and your soul and your truth, and you are shedding and doing this mass like purge and just letting go of all that doesn't serve you, and just rapidly changing on an energetic level, like, you know, that's just how it is. Like, that's just evolution, babe. Personal evolution. And that also really, really changes how we communicate with other people. And I think culturally, when it's such a popular opinion to shit on people for watching porn, when we don't even fully understand the depths of someone or the depths of ourselves. And this is in no way to also make excuses or to coddle, because, you know, I'm an adult. Like a lot of men who watch porn are adults, and we are all our own complete human beings who have the personal power to make a change and to take responsibility and accountability for ourselves and our actions and our behaviors. And so while I want to create a space where we are able to lead with more empathy and lead from our heart, because when we lead and speak from our heart, we also reach other people's hearts. But because so many of these messages and so much of what these empires have pumped into us is ego-based, when ego systems speak to our ego, we're going to continue to lead and create with ego. So it's really important that we create a space where we are able to speak from our hearts, and we are able to nurture, but know that, like, nurturing does not equal coddling. Nurturing does not equal making excuses. Nurturing does not equal forcing somebody to heal or trying to get somebody to change. Especially because of the culture that we live in, where it's not really safe for anybody to be themselves, regardless if you're a man. I mean, obviously, like, I feel like with men, it is easier for them to get away with things. It's easier for them to not really face consequences. Doesn't mean that doesn't happen, but there have been a lot of excuses, a lot of coddling that a lot of men in our own lives experience. And we make excuses and we clean up after them, and we try to protect their ego and their feelings so much. And it's just like, you know, I think it's so important that we start to teach men that it is safe for them to be themselves in their emotions, in their truth, and that they are enough, but also understand that they are responsible for themselves and their behaviors and their choices. And while there is always a backstory, there's always something that explains somebody's behavior, explains somebody's habits and addictions and patterns and where they are at in their life right now, and that there is room to change, and that you are not your actions, you are not your behaviors, and there's always room for change. But also understanding that even though, like, the things that you have done have caused harm, it's okay to not have that forgiveness, or to not expect forgiveness from everybody. But because men are also taught to hate themselves, are taught to oppress themselves, are constantly taught what not to be. Of course, men are going to reject themselves. Of course, men are probably suffering. And especially when they have people around them, other men and women who don't really understand them. And then also men don't really understand themselves. And when we constantly have men and women perpetuating these same beliefs and ideologies that you're not man enough. And, you know, men are constantly seeking other validation from other men and sometimes from other women. Men really don't have a safe space to really be fully accepted for who they are. And like, really, who does? I mean, we can also create that, and we also can choose people to befriend and be in community with that meet those needs. But like, the thing is, if you don't really have that within yourself, it's not that it can't happen, but it's like, when you think so poorly of yourself, when you feel and believe that you're not enough, when you feel like you don't belong in this world, that it's not safe to be who you are, when it's not safe to show emotion, when it's literally not safe to allow the innate, primal, instinctual parts of you exist without that fear or shame of being judged and rejected, told that you're being too emotional, told that to be a man, that you can't cry, what the fuck is wrong with you? What do you think's gonna happen? Like, and I think it's so important that we also realize that men are fully capable and have access to so many tools to be able to create that sense of safety. But also, you don't heal in isolation. You also heal in community. You also heal with other people who accept you for you being you. And acceptance doesn't mean tolerance. Acceptance doesn't mean behavior, but it's also seeing that these people's behavior is not them. Our behavior is not our identity. We are still human. We can still humanize each other, and we can still recognize people's inherent value and worth and enoughness, even underneath all of the shitty, harmful behavior that they might contribute to themselves or other people. Because people can change. People are not born that way. And learning to accept people for who they are and say that you are still enough and worthy even when you watch porn, even when you do all of these things. And I'm like, I want to cry because this is like so beautiful. And it's just like, we think that because we do these things that we're bad people. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things that people do that I don't agree with. There's genocide. There's so many things that I don't like. There are so many things that so many people do, men, women, black, white, gay, straight alike, that I don't support, that I don't like, that literally break my heart. And I don't like the people who are doing, like, I don't like Donald Trump. I don't like any of these men and these people in the process of this exploitation and constantly contributing to it. But we all contribute to harm, and we all are the perpetrators of harm, and we have been the victims of harm. And like, we have to start to see ourselves as whole, complex, and complete human beings who are, yes, responsible for our choices, but we are also not inherently bad or wrong, or not inherently not enough because of that. And you can still recognize the humanity in somebody. And we also continuously, so many of us live in this perpetual state of reaction where we dehumanize somebody else because they dehumanize us, or we think this way about a specific group of people because we've been taught to believe that, or because of this. And like, I get that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think, of course, you know, as women in our culture, as Black people in our culture, as minorities living in a culture where we are constantly dehumanized, when we are constantly the scapegoat of abuse, where we are constantly the scapegoat, where we are constantly not listened to, and it's been that way for generations, and shit like that keeps getting under the rug. Of course we're going to feel upset. Of course we're going to feel angry. And we need to validate and honor that anger. But the way that we validate and honor that anger is not necessarily being constantly reactive to our environment. And it's being able to, yes, acknowledge and validate it, and being able to walk away and realizing that, like, these systemic issues are systemic. Like, there's no total way that we are going to be able to escape these things, that we're going to be able to escape racism and escape, like, living in a culture where this is just where we're at right now. These are the cards that we are being given. But it's also like, we are responsible for ourselves, and how we choose to move through the world and react to the world is something that we do have control over. It's something that we might necessarily not always have immediate control. It's not like we have to have control of our emotions. Like, it's just being able to, like, if somebody did say something racist to you, and it's okay to like feel some type of way, because like I said, as a result of constantly experiencing generations and decades and of oppression, of course you might feel bitter, of course you're gonna feel hurt, of course you might close your heart off to the world. That is valid. And in opening your heart up to the world isn't just letting your guard down. It's being able to validate your experiences and being able to validate the collective ancestral pain and trauma and wounding that has happened, not only in your lifetime, not only in the people that you see yourself in, not only the people that look like you and possess similar bodies as you, and the struggling and the experiences and the discrimination and the injustice that they experience, but also ancestrally, collectively in this world, in our history. And it's invalidating that we can connect to our truth and be able to embody our truth in a way where we can alchemize that pain and that anger and be the change that we want to see. Because when we are constantly reactive, we are still creating our reality, and we're creating from a place of reactivity where we're closing our heart off and we're leading from our ego, and we're constantly being in our ego. And the thing is, this, I don't say this as a means to invalidate it. I think it is so valid that as women, as minorities, as Black people, as Black women, we constantly feel unsafe, that we are constantly reacting to our environment, that we are in a chronic state of fight or flight and fawn and freeze, where our nervous systems are adapting to an environment and a world and a culture where we constantly feel in danger and at threat, because we constantly hear stories and watch news, and we watch movies and TV shows and true crime things where we constantly see people who look like us, people who identify as a Black woman or a woman, or where so many, it's over proportionate. It's a disproportionate thing where people who look like us, people who come from the same background as people that we can relate to in any way, are experiencing harm, are being murdered, are being targeted, are victims of other people, of men, of white people. And it's a completely rational response. And the thing is, we also live in a culture that does not understand trauma, that does not understand and really conceptualize and understand the effects of trauma, the effects of abuse, the fight or flight response, epigenetics, intergenerational trauma, and this is also partly why our relationship with ourselves and our own trauma, when we neglect our own trauma, we also neglect and don't see the trauma of other people, and how obviously centuries or decades, years long of genocide, of slavery, of famine, of all of these traumatic things that affect people is not just an isolated event that only has an expiration date on the validity of when it's felt. People generations later, I fucking feel the pain, the ancestral collective pain of slavery, of all of the terrible shit that white people have done to people who look like me in history. That is something that not goes away, and people do not understand the energetics of it. People only see things for surface level. People only see things for the 3D reality, but there is energetics. There is shit happening behind the scenes. There is a collective weight of unresolved grief, pain, trauma, shame that is lingering in our collective, in the fucking ethers, bitch, in our fucking energy. And that unresolved pain and trauma is manifesting in our world, is manifesting in our lives on a day-to-day fucking basis. And it's so important when we come home to ourselves, hi, baby. We allow ourselves to feel it. And we have been so programmed to dehumanize each other and dehumanize ourselves. We dehumanize nature. Like, nature all around us is living. Everything is living. We are living. Hi, my love. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, my sweet boy. It's okay. It's okay. They'll be home tomorrow. Hi, Milas. Hi, Milas. So much of what men are taught is through coddling, is through seeing that men that are in power, men that have money, are allowed to get away with really reckless, dangerous things, really a lot of sinister shit. And this is what men see. This is a lot of, especially what white men see, of what a lot of men of color also strive to and to get in proximity with, is that approval and acceptance from these empires, from these systems that are rigged in favor of rich men, especially mostly rich white men. And there are a lot of people who aren't necessarily white men that also benefit from this. And I think it's so, these fucking needy ass dogs, bro. Oh, that's a joint. Look over here. Look over here. No, look over here. Look at the camera. Look. No cameras. Yeah. That's honestly all that's coming up right now. That I just like, y'all, the divine was speaking through me. Okay, y'all need to listen. Anyways, that's it for this video. This was fun. Yeah, I really hope that this video opened up some dialogue and opened up some minds and some damn hearts, okay? Because that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to do. This is part of what I'm here to do, okay? But yeah, I'll see you guys next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like and leave any of your opinions, thoughts, feelings, and emotions down in the comments below, okay? This is an open conversation. I want to hear what you guys have to say. But yeah. Bye!